This is Beggar's Banquet by the Rolling Stones. Let's talk records. It is December 5th in 1968 at the Gore Hotel in London. The Rolling Stones are hosting a raucous party to celebrate the release of their groundbreaking new album. After the mixed reviews and disappointing sales of their previous album, Their Satanic Majesty's Request, the Stones decided to get back to basics. Leaving behind their experimentation with psychedelia, the band returned back to the roots. Gritty blues and rock and roll. The Stones doing what they do best. But trouble was brewing within the band. Brian Jones, the band's co-founder and original lead guitarist, was battling substance abuse issues that kept them largely absent from recording sessions. Keith Richards, the other co-founder, stepped up to handle the lion's share of the guitar work. Brian Jones' contributions, while sparse, were still significant. His harmonica graced tracks like Dear Doctor, and he delivered haunting slide guitar and No Expectations. He also played the mellotron on Jigsaw Puzzle and Stray Cat Blues, and contributed backing vocals on Sympathy for the Devil. One of the most striking decisions around the album was the exclusion of Jumpin' Jack Flash. Despite being one of the most iconic tracks, the band released it earlier in 1968 as a standalone single. Meanwhile, Street Fighting Man, released in August of that year, became one of their most politically charged songs. Inspired by the recent clashes between police and protesters during anti-war demonstrations, the track carried a dangerous edge. Jones plays guitar and tambora on the song, adding a unique texture to its already volatile energy. The track was originally titled Did Everyone Pay Their Dues? Its release coincided with the violent clashes at the 1968 Democratic National Convention in Chicago, prompting some local radio stations to ban it. Beggar's Banquet was officially released on December 6, 1968 on Decca Records, marking the beginning of the Stones' collaboration with producer Jimmy Miller, a partnership that would shape the band's sound for years to come. Sympathy for the Devil, a bold and provocative track that would become one of their most iconic songs. Fusing rock and roll with Afro-Cuban rhythms, Mick Jagger portrays the devil himself, holding a mirror to humanity's darkest tendencies. The song didn't chart but remains one of the greatest and most enduring rock and roll songs of all time. In light of the recent assassination of Bobby Kennedy, Jagger altered the lyrics to say the Kennedys instead of the Kennedy. The Stones had originally planned to use a photograph of a filthy graffiti-covered bathroom to reflect the album's raw and rebellious spirit. Shot by Barry Feinstein at a Porsche repair shop in Los Angeles, the image was rejected by the label as too vulgar. Instead, the band was forced to use a plain RSVP-style invitation design. By the way, early pressings of the album credited Jagger and Richards as the writers of all the songs, but later versions correctly credited Reverend Robert Wilkins for Prodigal Son, based on his 1929 recording of That Ain't No Way to Get Along. See, let me show you. The recordings also included guest stars like famous session musician Nicky Hopkins, and you can also hear Marianne Faithfull and Anita Pallenberg doing backing vocals for Sympathy for the Devil. To promote the album, the Stones organized a star-studded television special, The Rolling Stones Rock and Roll Circus, featuring performances by Eric Clapton, The Who, John Lennon, Jethro Tull, and others. During Jethro Tull's set, you can spot Tony Iommi pre-Black Sabbath during his brief stint with the band. Unfortunately, the Stones were dissatisfied with their own performance and shelved the project. It wasn't released until 1996 when it finally saw the light of day on DVD. The album's release party at the Gore Hotel, held December 5th, 1968, one day before the album came out, was as wild as you'd expect. The Stones had originally wanted to host the event at the Tower of London, but had to settle for the hotel instead. Midway through the night, Mick Jagger playfully threw a custard pie at Brian Jones, sparking an all-out food fight and turning the evening into a raucous celebration. Not too long after, Jones was let go of the band for his erratic behavior, and less than a year after the release of this record, he was found dead in a swimming pool at the age of 27. Beggar's Banquet by the Rolling Stones peaked at number 5 on the US Billboard Hot 200 and number 3 in the UK, eventually earning platinum status. It has been called one of the best albums of all time. Rolling Stone magazine ranked it number 57 on its 500 greatest albums of all time list in 2003, number 58 on the 2012 updated list, and number 185 on the latest 2020 revisited list.